Okay, hello guys, hello. So today I'm going to cover on AMF formulae for G2. So if you are G3 AMF, I highly encourage you to seek assistance as the AMF exam is tomorrow. Okay, so I'll need to cover a few things really quickly. This is for those people taking 4051, the new syllabus. Okay. Now before we dive into the formula, right, a lot of people are asking me, but JC, what is formulae? Okay, formulae is basically a maths rule. Okay, it connects like two or more quantities with equal sign, but because it's A math, right, so it will have a lot of variables in it. It can be X, Y, Z, A, B, C, something like that. Okay, can? Alright, so these are all the formulas in A math that you need to know, okay, for G2 topics of this year only. So let's see. Now on your screen you will see there are a lot of content. Okay, I'll run through step by step, one by one. Okay, that's why this video is going to take quite a while to finish. Okay, because I'm going slowly chapter by chapter. Alright, let's begin. Don't waste any more time. Chapter 1 is quadratic function. So for quadratic function, you will just need to know about completing the square. Basically is like a level up version of your E-maths, so I don't think I will touch on that any further. Okay, for the next point is the coordinate of turning point of, then there's one equation, right, that is completed square form. Okay, you are required to know that as well. The equation is y equal a bracket x minus h square plus k, and the coordinates are h and k. H is like your x coordinate and k is your y coordinate. Okay, now the third point I'll need to illustrate a bit further. If a is more than 0 and the minimum value of the given equation basically is like what you see in your quadratic equations. Okay, if a is more than 0 and minimum value of ax squared plus bx plus c is positive, then the curve will lie completely above the x-axis. The opposite will happen when a is less than 0. So what does this mean? Okay, I'm going to exit for a bit. Okay, what does this mean? It means like this. So if your graph is like this, please hold on. Okay, so if your graph is something like this, okay, let's say this is a graph, okay, let's say this is a, okay, let's say this is the x and y. Okay, y, this is your x. Okay, where does above 0 lie? Above 0 will be like that. See the shape, see the shape. Okay, I'll probably put in red. Okay, it's like this. Can you see how it does not touch the x-axis? So that is basically what the textbook is trying to tell us. It means that either point does not touch the x or y axes at all. Okay, is at all. Okay, now this is a very common question that they will ask in exam. So if you are lucky enough to have this type of equation, okay, to have this type, then you are very lucky. Okay, okay, if you have this type, then you are good to go. Alright, can? Alright, the next chapter is equation and inequality. Basically there is nothing much to memorize because there isn't anything for you to memorize at all. Okay, because it's just based on quadratic functions. Alright, and that is for chapter 2, and chapter 2 is roughly a very short chapter, so I won't cover in depth on what it is. Okay, chapter 3 is one of the harder topics, unfortunately. I have to admit it is also quite difficult, but I believe that we can get through this. Alright, so chapter 3 is called surds. What are surds? Surds are basically like your square roots. Okay, you are working with roots. So there are 3 laws that you need to know. Law 1 is when you combine 2 variables into a single root, you are able to take them out into 2 roots. So basically, if it's a root AB, you can write root A times root B. Okay, because A and B, they are together. Usually we don't put a times symbol, so usually we'll put it as root AB, just AB. Okay, nothing wrong, huh? Okay, law 2. Law 2 is the most important one. I think you all must take it down. Alright, law 2 is the most important one. Is root A over B equals to root A over root B. So what does this mean? It's same like law 1, but this time round you need to put a fraction sign. This is where your A and your B will remain. Okay, your A and B, because whoever is at the top, right, you cannot put the bottom to the top, neither can you put the top to the bottom. For certs, no. Okay, it is strictly stuck with the top and bottom. So let's say, for example, if I have root 1/2, you should put root equals to root 1 over root 2, but there's no such thing as root 1 over root 2. Okay, but that's just an illustration purpose. Okay, law 3 is fairly easy. I think it's just same number. Okay, so it's just same number because, well, root A times root A is root A square. I think most of us know that A times A is A square, but because there's a root, right, you need to put the root. Okay, if the question gives you a bracket and then a root A, so it's like root A bracket square, you can write it as A, because the square root and the square will cancel each other out, so it will be A. Okay, next one is I gave you an example of rationalizing the denominator. Basically is when you take it by the reciprocal of the denominator. So basically is like 1 over root 2. Alright, the reciprocal of 1 over root 2 is root 2 over root 2. Okay, if you don't believe me, you can go and try it out. It is correct. Alright, we'll give you root 2 over 2. Understand? Okay, chapter 4 is the chapter that was first taught. Moving on to chapter 4, sorry. Sorry. Let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase my sentence first. For chapter 4, right, polynomial, cubic equation, and partial fraction, they are all taught at the start of the year. So it's quite easy for y'all to forget. So I understand this. Okay. To me it's just the understanding that has the problem. Okay. I know all of us have problem with memorizing, but yeah, but this chapter you have to memorize almost everything. Yeah, there is no way out. Okay, can? So for chapter 4, right, you need to know what's the degree of a polynomial. So when they ask you what is px times qx, you need to tell me that, let's say, you need to be able to tell me what is the highest power of the term. So for example, if it's 5x to the power of 6 plus 2x cubed, you need to tell me that the degree is 6. Okay, degree is basically the one that is your power number. Okay, the power number. Okay, and you also need to remember that the degree of a function times the degree of another function is the same as the degree of the first function plus the degree of the second function. Okay, first and second function. That's all. Okay, the next one is the division algorithm for polynomial. So you need to know that the dividend is px and that the divisor is dx. So, and the quotient is qx as well as the remainder, which is rx. Alright, px, dx, qx, rx, these are just functions. Okay, but I need to know what the p, d, q, and r stand for. Okay, I know y'all cannot see my handwriting here, but I'm just gonna put it up to you. Okay, for those who cannot see, px is dividend, dx is divisor, q stands for quotient, rx is remainder. Okay, this is very useful if you want to go and do remainder theorem, which is chapter 4.2 if I'm not wrong. Alright. Then because chapter 4.2 there's nothing much to memorize, so I'll skip that. For chapter 4.3, you need to know this: the 3 distinct real root and the 2 equal real root. So you need to know that 3 distinct real root is b squared minus 4ac more than 0. Okay, anything that is real and distinct, the b squared minus 4ac is more than 0. How do I know it's b squared minus 4ac? Okay, you go and look at the quadratic general formula in your E-Maths textbook again. I believe it's textbook 3a. Okay, go and take a look again. Then for 2 equal real root, it will be b squared minus 4ac equals 0. Okay, now the harder part comes when it comes to partial fraction, because partial fraction, there are a lot of cases, alright, and as well as the numbers can get very big, can be very complicated to solve. But remember, take note that partial fractions questions are worth 5 marks each. Okay, 5 marks each. So you need to remember 3 cases. So case 1 will be when you have the denominator as 2 different factors of a polynomial. Okay, 2 different factors of a polynomial. So you need to know that px plus q over ax plus b cx plus d. Okay, then from the px plus q, you need to break it up. So px will be stand for your a, your q will be for your b. Okay, afterwards you go and solve it. Alright, case 2 comes when there is a square. Okay, it's the same as case 1, but except for this time there is a square. Alright, so a over ax plus b over ax plus b squared. Now you may be asking me, but ax plus b squared, isn't it ax cubed plus bx plus b cubed? Okay, no, it does not work this way. Okay, ax plus b follows px, and ax plus b squared follows q. That's all. Okay, if you don't know, you can go and look at the textbook again now. Okay, and then for case 3 is the one of the more common cases. Px squared will now stand for your ax plus b, and then for bx plus c will be your qx plus r. Alright, this one is when you need to solve 3 unknowns and above. Okay, 3 unknowns and above. Okay, but usually they'll give you 3 unknowns only for G2. Alright, no problem, yeah. Alright, then chapter 5, chapter 6 are not covered because they are G3 topics. So we'll straight away jump to chapter 7, which is coordinate geometry. Now you need to know how to find the midpoint. Alright, midpoint has been taught to you about term 2 of this year. Okay, I think it's during your projects. So you need to know that the midpoint is x1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2. Now I think this one is very simple. Okay, midpoint is the easiest part of coordinate geometry already. Alright, so moving forward will be gradient of line is tangent theta. This one no choice, must memorize by heart. Okay, there's no explanation for that. Perpendicular bisector, you need to know that m1, m2, negative 1 is basically the point whereby the 2 lines meet each other at the center. Okay, then the equation of non-vertical line will be the one that is mentioned in the group chat, is y minus y1 equal mx minus x1. Alright, then the area is super important. You need to know this. Is under area of rectilinear figure, that is chapter 7.4. The area is half. Then you put all your coordinate and make sure to go back to the original point. Okay, must go back to the original point. If not, your shoelace method will not work. Alright, and the last one is equation of circle. Okay, this one also you need to refer to textbook because I have no choice, but I can't explain to you due to time concern. Okay, then chapter 8 is also not tested because chapter 8 is also for G3. Now moving on to chapter 9. Now chapter 9, right, is very important. This is a start of advanced trigonometry, so you need to know how to use them for your advanced trigo. Now for your info, trigonometric function and graph, right, there is degree mode and there is radial mode. So you need to see what the question is asking for. If there's a pi, means that it is in radial mode. If it's a number that is very big, it should be in degree mode. Okay, now so let's start with this one. Theta in radian is equals to S over R. This should be covered in the Set 3 E-Maths already. If you don't know, you can refer back to your textbook. Okay, if it's not given, then I think this is new info for you all. Okay. Then pi radian is 180 degrees. I think everybody knows that. Okay. Then yeah, because it has been taught. Then the table you need to memorize yourself. Cause table you need to memorize by heart. There's no way that you can there's no technique of how you can memorize this. You just have to memorize. Yeah. Alright. The next one will be the use of ASTC. Yeah, now until now I still got someone asking me what is ASTC. Okay, ASTC stands for all sine, tangent and cosine. So what it means is all means every single function. Okay, every single function which is your sine, cosine, tangent will always involve first quadrant. Okay, sine is only when the sine is positive, that will be in your second quadrant. Tangent positive will be under your third quadrant, and the cosine will be under the fourth quadrant. Okay, cosine positive. Yeah. Alright, so I've listed down if theta is in what. Alright, we're gonna jump to that now. If theta is in A quadrant, which is first quadrant now, theta equals to alpha. Alpha is your basic angle. Okay, alpha is the angle where you take your sine, cosine, tangent inverse and then you bracket it out. Okay, like for example, if they ask you, this also will be covered later on in when I explain about R formula, but R formula, the formula is given in the question now. Okay, so please take your time to read through ASTC. Okay, important now. For the fourth one, it is a different case. Okay, if theta is in C quadrant, fourth quadrant, theta is 360 minus alpha. Okay, 360 minus your basic angle, cause C cosine, right? So you have to take the whole minus your alpha, basic angle, then you can get your cosine, right? Okay, so because when you sub your values into the original equation, you should be able to get a cosine of the same value as the question. Okay, then below the table you also need to memorize by heart. If theta is the second quadrant, what is positive for the alphas? Okay, theta is in what quadrant? You need to know. Okay. Okay, next one is for the next one is basically how you should evaluate your sine minus theta. This one is only when the theta is negative. Okay, so sine minus theta will obviously be negative sine theta. I think this also makes a lot of sense. For cosine negative theta is cosine theta. Why? Because cosine inverse gives you positive. Okay, when your cosine is negative, when your theta is negative, when you inverse it, your cosine should be positive. Alright, and then for the tangent minus theta, if your theta is negative, your negative tangent should also be, okay, your tangent theta should also be negative. So there's a consistent pattern. When the sine and tangent are negative, your cosine will be positive. Okay, when your tangent is negative, your cosine and your sine is positive. and vice versa. Okay, the next one is about complementary angle formulae. This one you have to memorize on your own, yeah, cause this one is relying on your memory work. Alright, can? Okay, then the next one is all the special functions that you need to know. Okay, you need to know what is cosecant theta. Cosecant is 1 over sine theta, and then for your secant theta is 1 over cosine theta, and for cotangent is 1 over tangent theta or cosine over sine. Okay, if you don't know, you can also still refer to your book. Okay, always refer to your book if you do not get my explanation yet. Okay, because my explanation, it goes as far as this. Alright, the last topic, the very last topic of the book, chapter 10, is another trigo chapter, but this time round, this one gets a little bit more harder. Okay, this chapter 9 here on the right hand side is the very basic of A math trigo. Okay, you must be able to memorize your chapter 9 well, such that you can move on to chapter 10. Okay, because chapter 10 is very advanced trigo. Alright, now the only thing I'm going to cover about chapter 10 on trigonometric equation and identity, right, is how to prove the identity. Because equations is about the same as quadratic, just that this time around there's only sine, cosine, tangent involved. Okay, but it's about the same thing. Right? So to prove the identity, right, the first strategy you use is to simplify the expression on the side of the identity that is more complicated. What do I mean? It means that, for example, if I have, if I have this, okay, if I have this, which is like this, yeah, something like this. For example, okay, this one I know not very solvable, but let me just explain what you should do first. Okay, step 1, simplify this side of the equation first. Okay, sorry, my stylus broke, so I need to. Okay, this is your first step. Okay, this is your very first step. If without doing this first step, you'll be going to nowhere. Alright, the second step is think of what definition or node identity to apply at each step. So the identity, for example, your cosecant theta, you already know it's 1 over cosine, so why not change it? Okay, you should be able to change it like this. It is okay to put a fraction on a divided line. Okay, it is alright. What do you know is secant? You also need to memorize. This one also, we already know that secant is 1 over cosine theta, something like that. Okay, this is your second step. Okay, second step you also cannot do, then I don't know where you're going to lah. Okay. Oh wait, I forgot one essential thing. Okay, must always write this. Okay, cot tangent theta, you can already simplify it to 1 over tangent theta. Okay, I think it's quite straightforward. Okay, it's quite okay, yeah. And the last strategy is work both sides if you are stuck halfway, but present your final solution from one side of the identity to the other side. What does this mean? That means once you do already, you manage to get cot tangent theta, you need to write RHS proven. Okay, why RHS? The reason why is RHS is because the right hand side already gives you the final solution. Okay, this is the final solution. Okay, cot tangent theta should be your last statement. Okay, because cot tangent theta is RHS and you need to write proven. If they say show, you must write shown. Okay, because I heard that my seniors, they all mixed up the proof and shown and they deducted 1 mark. Is actually very wasted. Okay, so remember to read the question carefully, yeah. Okay, I'm also teaching myself how to do it, so yeah. Okay, and don't worry, because there's one important tip that I want to give you, which is, sorry, not tip, I want to say that this one, okay, there is actually something special in it which can be an advantage to all of us. Sorry, I don't know why my stylus is, I don't know why my stylus is lagging. Okay, so if you're taking 4051 and 4052, okay, you should be able to know that all formulas for chapter 10 and some for chapter 9, they are given in the formula sheet. So you do not need to memorize stuff like what is tangent 2A. Don't need. Okay, it's all given. Okay, it's all given in the formula sheet, yeah. Alright. So because of time, I have no time to cover like problems from the textbook. So you need to cover them yourself. Okay. So that is the A math revision. Okay, on that note, right, I just need to put a disclaimer first. Alright, that these formulas do not fully apply to those who take SBB maths. So if you take 4051 and 4052 syllabus, aka NA G2 additional mathematics and G3 elementary mathematics, okay, it does not fully apply. Okay, it does not fully apply because there are some amendments here and there to fit the SBB standard. Okay, but nonetheless, on a concluding note, I'll just like to say that I know AMF, y'all may feel a bit difficult, but actually it's not really difficult because you just need to know the formula, know how to apply, and you're good to go. Okay, and on that note, okay, thank you, and I would like to wish you all the best for tomorrow's exam. Hopefully we can all pass with flying colors and not die, cause that will be pretty sad. And yep, thanks and goodbye.